I drew this a few months back, and I think it's time to finally add some color. But since this beauty is already behind glass and I really don't want to try my hand at watercolor, we're gonna go digital. In order to start coloring, we've got to do a little bit of work to get the drawing over to the computer. First things first, I'm going to take some pictures, and for a piece this size, I'm going to section it up and take multiple pictures to merge later. This way I can preserve all the detail in the original piece and keep the resolution high enough to create clean prints at the end of this thing. Once that's done, we'll head over to Photoshop and simply go File, Automate, Photo Merge, select our pictures, and just like that, we spit out our complete high resolution image. There's a little cleanup to make sure we have everything square, but it's tools like this that really make me wonder how I went so long without Photoshop. To finally get this ready to go, I'm gonna color correct just a bit to lighten lights, darken darks, and generally just make sure this guy's looking good for our next step. Now we finally get to add some color to this thing, so I am breaking out my drawing tablet and suiting up to get to work. Right now, I don't really have a great idea of what this final piece is gonna be, but that doesn't really matter for color blocking. So I'm just gonna pick any random color. Pink, yeah, we're gonna go with pink. I used the object select feature to fill in most of the rabbit, and it was able to take the edges pretty well, but of course I still need to go around and clean up a bit just to make sure everything is just right. This is by far the most time consuming and least fun part of the project, but the more work we put in at this stage, the easier the rest of the project's gonna go. And once the rabbit is cleaned up, I have the tremendous pleasure of getting to do it all over again with the leaves. Now the selection was a bit tougher for this since the shapes were a bit more complex. I tried tweaking the color balance of the reference to make them stand out more and be easier to select, but in the end that really didn't do too much, so there was a lot more cleanup for all the vines. I threw in a quick color for the background and then readjusted my layers a bit to make sure I had everything set up the way I liked. The initial filling was done using a lower opacity color layer, but that wasn't going to work for the final product. I played around a bit with setting my base layers to the color blend mode, but ended up just moving the drawing itself to the top as a multiply layer. This will keep all the shading from my drawing while allowing me to color on the layers below as I would normally. The only downside of doing it this way is it kind of tones down the overall piece just a bit. This works fine for the look that I'm trying to get here, but might not be a great solution for pieces that you're trying to keep a little brighter. But with all that said, now we are on to the fun part. I did a quick color correction of my base colors just to get it looking a little nicer, and the first thing I wanted to do is throw a gradient over the top of my jackalope. Hue shifts are a must to keep this piece from looking too flat and just add a little interest to the design. Then I'm going through and refining all my base colors and parts to separate out certain elements and start bringing this guy to life. The obvious place to start is the antlers, but I'm also going through and lightening up the fur on the face, belly, and paws to break up the monotony of the body. In areas like the thigh that could, again, feel just a little flat, I'm color selecting from higher up and painting in a few spots down here. In this case, I'm kind of just going for like a frosted tips look. Very classic. And then of course, it is time to do the same thing for all the foliage. I'm going through and adding some color to the flowers and all the hazelnuts and little vines. You know the drill. And what did I tell y'all about hue shifts? Gotta break up all those flat spots on the leaves with a little color change, and just like that, this thing isn't looking half bad. The real punch comes as I start going through and adding in all the little shadows and highlights to really make the details pop. It honestly feels good to see this piece coming to life a bit. I drew it a couple months ago and knew that it wasn't going to be done until I got a chance to color it. See, this piece is titled Duality, and it's meant to celebrate all of these hybrids. The jackalope is a pretty obvious one, but the stargazer lilies and even the hazelnuts are hybrid plants themselves. However, the plan was always to blend in one more element, as I've tried to find just the right hybrid between my more detailed pencil work and the more playful, cartoony style that I've also developed. And that brings us to the last step. I want to decorate this piece with a bunch of little characters hanging out all over, so the first step of that is figuring out where to place everybody. I'm doing a really quick pass on everything here. This is extremely rough just to get an idea of what might be some fun spots. Honestly, I don't even know what half these characters are going to end up being yet. In fact, I went back through to label everybody just to be sure I had the full picture figured out. Then with everybody properly name tagged, I can start carving out what they actually look like with just a little bit of line work. And from here, you know the drill. Base color, detail color, shadows and highlight, wash, rinse, repeat. It is all the same, y'all. Just remember to clean up as you go. Now by this point, you may have noticed and be asking yourself, why are they all blue? I don't know. But really, since this is one of the first pieces I have with everybody interacting, I was thinking a bit about the lore that goes into it and these little characters. And I really like the idea of playing with perspective or having a lens to see all these guys through. And since I use these colored glasses in a lot of my designs, I wanted to tinker around with them all the same color as if they were being viewed through that colored lens. Now, I won't be slapping glasses on the jackalope just yet, but I do like how the single color looks with the composition of this piece. I can get a fun pop of some brighter color while still keeping a design that feels cohesive. The last thing to do is make sure everybody feels like they're in their place, so I add a few cast shadows around all the characters just to make sure they feel situated, and with that, this thing's done. If you're interested, prints of this piece are already available on my website. I actually created 3 versions, one with a pencil, one with a color, and one with all of the characters. So go ahead and pick up whichever one you like best. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, be sure to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with new videos as they come out. Until then, I will see y'all next time.